So, if you have been struggling to keep the romance alive after having kids, and 2026 is going to be the year that you want to transform your relationship, in this little episode, I want to remind you of kind of the framework that I use for helping couples, talk a little bit about what's ahead for the 2026 season on the Sex After Kids podcast, and help you go from roommates to bedmates so that you can stay there for good. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Sex After Kids podcast. It is officially 2026, and that is definitely blowing my mind. This year marks 9 years married and 11 years with my partner. We have a 4 and a 7 and a 14-year-old who are all going to be 5 and 8 and 15 this year, which is crazy, crazy, crazy. We are navigating learner's licenses and kindergarten sleep progressions because we watched too much Grinch this Christmas. Let me know in the DMs or in the comments what you are navigating right now. Looking back at this past year, I have to say that I am so proud of how my hubby and I have showed up. And not just in the bedroom, but around like money. I've said it multiple times on socials. Like, I really feel like we are in one of our best eras yet of our relationship. And I am just so dedicated to sharing whatever I can to get you into the same place 10 years and 3 kids in. One of the biggest keys to our success this year has been our weekly money dates. And when I post about those online, a lot of you go like, what? A money date? And so we'll talk about more about that in the future. But honestly, like, we had some really good money stuff this year, and we had some really hard money stuff this year. And we had to go deep on the hard stuff together. We had to face some truths. We had to get like real about things and be really on it, even in the daily chaos. And that wasn't always easy, but we made it happen. And the choices we had to make were not always between like great and great, right? Like, a lot of what we've been doing around money is making choices that align to like the life that we want to create. And sometimes that looks unconventional for us, whether it's me being an entrepreneur or my partner looking into flight school, us taking time off. And it means we're sacrificing things like, I keep going like, why the fuck don't we have money to go to Mexico? And it's because like we're making the choice to be off work almost every day at 3 o'clock to pick up kids and all these other things. So the point is, we're like making these decisions as a team. We're making decisions about our money and our lifestyle and our work and our income based in our values. And it just really has us feeling like, fuck yeah, high five, like, let's do this. And I can't understate how much that contributes to a level of intimacy and connection between us that certainly facilitates bedroom time, right? So if you have been struggling to keep the romance alive after having kids, hello, that's why we're all here. And 2026 is going to be the year that you want to transform your relationship. Then in this little episode, I want to remind you of kind of the framework that I use for helping couples, talk a little bit about what's ahead for the 2026 season on the Sex After Kids podcast, and help you go from roommates to bedmates so that you can stay there for good. So whether it's been 2 or 20 years, this episode and the season ahead has the tools to help you reignite the spark and build the ultimate fulfilling partnership that you crave. So big gratitude to everyone who has been here the last year. We did 50 episodes in 2025, and I hear so often from you folks how helpful they are, that you are listening to them together, that you are learning together. And like, that is the point, my friends. That is the intention. So before we dive into kind of like what's coming up for the season, I just want to like re-ground us in why the F I'm here, right? What is the mission? What is the point? And really deep down, what this is about for me is like keeping our families together and role modeling what healthy love in action looks like for our babies. Because we know that 1 in 5 divorces are due to people just not being able to figure out the whole sex thing. Like, literally everything else in their relationship is fine, but they can't figure out how to have sex with each other properly. And they think it's an attraction issue, or they think it's a mismatch issue, but it's actually most of the time, not all the time, okay, but most of the time, it's a skill issue. And it doesn't matter if you are a they or a them or a femme or a man or straight or gay. We all struggle with this. And we all struggle because quite literally we were never taught, okay? I know it sounds dumb, but just legitimately, we did not get these lessons in high school sex ed. We didn't grow up in a culture where it was okay to talk about sex and ask questions about our bodies. We haven't actually seen examples of loving relationships in midlife or even seen masterful lovemaking, not porn and not shitty romance movies, okay? In action. Like, what does actual good sex and good lovemaking look like? Do you have a picture of that in your mind? I highly doubt it. And if I can prevent just one divorce by giving you a couple of skills, then I have won. But more than that, I want us to raise the bar for our babies, right? I work in violence prevention. I work in sexualized assault. I work in helping teens and young people to understand consent and their bodies and to be empowered. And we have a huge role to play in that as parents, not in so much as what we teach with our words, but in so much as what we teach without our words. And what I mean by that is, do your kids watch you peck each other on the cheek on the way out the door? And do they feel the resentment and the heaviness between you? Or do they watch their parents lovingly pat each other on the bum and slow dance in the kitchen and cuddle on the couch and tickle each other and actually show love in action? Because I want that to be the bar for them. And it can't be the bar for them if they don't even know it's possible. So this is the energy that we are bringing into 2026. This is the energy and the support that the podcast is bringing into 2026. And I'm really excited about the season that I'm crafting for you because I want to help anyone who's a parent in midlife and navigating neurodivergence and perimenopause and chronic conditions like my autoimmune disorder to figure this out. So a little bit of context for you before I dive into what we're going to explore into the season, right? Because if you're not new here, then you'll have heard this before. But if you are new here, and it always bears reminding, everything I teach is really centered around what I call the naked fun times cycle. Okay, so I go over this in most of my trainings, but the idea is to imagine that every time we have naked fun, there are 4 distinct phases to that process. There's initiation, or someone making a request, transition, going from parent to lover mode. There's playtime, the actual act itself, and debrief or aftercare, where we're reconnecting and debriefing and understanding together what we're learning. And when I work with you, whether it's in a small program or my signature group program, what we're actually doing is getting better at the 4 key ingredients, which I'll mention in a minute here, through each of these phases, right? So when we become masterful initiators and master kind of the safe simmer and flirting in our relationship, then it's easier to throw a party our libido wants to come to. When we're having sex that we crave to come back to, then it's easier to initiate again the second time. And when we are learning together constantly about what is working right now today in our relationship, then we are growing together forward and building the kind of sex life that we want to have. So what are those 4 key ingredients that we are working on? I think of it almost as muscle building for each of these ingredients, right? So the first is communication. And that can be communication about our sex life in general. That can be communication when it comes to initiating effectively. And that can be communication when it comes to giving feedback during intimacy. We need to get really good at making the ask and also creating what I call a scaffold for connection. So a lot of you who've done the Roommates to Romance challenge, especially people who are neurodivergent, ADHD, autistic, tell me how much you love the clarity of the date night frameworks that I give, because when there's a structure to engage in, you don't feel like you're stabbing in the dark. You just follow the steps and see where it takes you. And one couple recently told me that even after a full chaotic day over the holidays with the kids, they did their first date night in my signature program, the Naked Fun Comeback, using the framework. Old them, it would have been an assumption of oh, mom's exhausted after 4 days or a day with the kiddos. This isn't going to go anywhere. They pressed play on the date night. They had a great, connected, intimate time. Like I always say, that's a penny in the connection jar. So communication in all phases of the cycle is one of the muscles we're strengthening together. The second is the nervous system and the body. So most of us are walking around with no effing clue how our libido works or how it works now, how to manage a soft penis or bits that won't cooperate. And when you learn this, everything changes. All the doors open, right? I have been working with one dad in the Roommates to Romance Challenge who upgraded to the coaching option, who has completely 180'd his experience around porn and masturbation with the mindful masturbation method. And he, and honestly, most of the guys that I talk to who are doing this practice are experiencing whole new levels of erection that they never knew were possible. They are finding different kinds of connection with themselves. They are finding themselves less reliant on porn and other forms of like fantasy to get themselves going. And they're also like shedding and healing old wounds from childhood around their manhood. And it is amazing to see men in these programs being cracked open to new parts of themselves. So, working with the body, understanding the body, knowing how your body works and your partner's body works is critical to this process. And it's probably, well, they're all important, but this is a really big pillar. Number 3 is around mindset, right? And this is really about the stories that we tell of ourselves about sex that we treat as fact, right? From scheduled sex sucks to my partner should be able to read my mind to rewriting the story that sex is a chore or that we are broken, right? I have a client, Nicole, in my signature program who recently shared a massive win, which is that after decades of really mostly genuinely just tolerating sex for a lot of reasons that I won't go into here, she could genuinely say that the last 6 or 7 times were actually a positive experience for her. And that is huge when it comes to creating this positive feedback loop where the cycle goes round and round and round more frequently. This is the power of this work. It is not about forcing it, it's about shifting the mindset so that you can actually enjoy it. And especially for those of us in female bodies or those of us who have like trauma around sex, this is critical. For those of us who don't like see ourselves as erotic beings anymore, whether we because we're a mom or we're going through perimenopause, or even men can go through this too, anybody, when we're disconnected from our sexual self, it's hard to like want it. The last ingredient is our relationship to pleasure. And this is really about your capacity to embrace pleasure without guilt in all parts of your life and harness its positive benefits for your body and for your mind, but also your ability to hold sexual pleasure in your body. Because believe it or not, some of us actually find that hard. If you struggle with orgasm, this would be an example. If you struggle with connecting to your erotic self, this would be an example. If you are an A-type, overachieving, hyper independent human of any kind, you're going to struggle with this. And so this is important. And what I kind of want to share in this is like I had one couple join recently where, the mom was pretty hesitant to join. It was feeling like, okay, I'll do this for him because this is a problem for him, even though I could kind of keep doing my own thing. But she was sharing with me in the Voxer coaching, like, she's really glad that they signed up. She feels so seen and understood by me. She feels like I get her, and she feels like they actually have a shot at making this part of their relationship better because I understand and can empathize with her perspective and translate it to her partner. But because I'm also not judging him either. This is about holding space for both of you and the challenges that you both have with each of these 4 ingredients so that we can tackle this as a team, because sex is a team sport, my friends. So just kind of in summary, right? If we're looking at this graph again, we've got the naked fun times cycle, and what we're trying to do is get really good with communication, body wisdom, relationship with pleasure, and mindset at each of the 4 phases, so that instead of never initiating and never having sex, forcing yourself once in a while, having a shitty time, and then not talking about it, instead, we are initiating regularly, regardless of how horny we are, masterfully transitioning, having a great time no matter what happens, and constantly learning together so that our sex life evolves with us as we age, as we grow together, as we get curious together. That is the goal, my friends. No small feat, okay? There are many little pieces and prongs here to work on, but this is why we've put together this season of the podcast, right? So the season of the podcast is grounded around giving you support, tools, advice, and insights around each of these 4 ingredients and around each of these phases, okay? So listen in, take all that advice. If you want the full meal deal, if you want the fastest way to go through that cycle over and over again without waiting for libido dust to fall from the sky, then working with me in the Naked Fun Comeback is going to be the best way to do that. And I can always have a chat with you. Just book a call in, the link is in the show notes, and we can have a chat about whether this program is right for you. In the meantime, I want to talk a little bit about what I've got coming up for you right now because I'm so excited about it. I am putting together a brand new mini offer, of course, for Valentine's Day, which is literally just around the corner. So I want you to keep your ears pinned for this. If you are new and not on my email list, make sure you head to the link to the show notes and get on to the news feed or the newsletter so that you can be the first to hear about it and sign up for it. It is going to be a new kind of date night experience, and it's going to have two sort of parts to it. So it will be on Valentine's. It will be live, though if you buy in, you can always grab the replay and do it whenever your Valentine's date night's going to be. And it's going to make learning about sex more fun than I guarantee it has ever been. You are going to need markers and massage oil, but we won't be getting naked, at least not on the workshop. Whatever you do afterwards is going to be up to you. But you are going to leave with a whole new perspective on how to give feedback in bed and a literal map for exploring together. So if you are struggling with feeling sexy in your own skin, if things are dry and ouchy since perimenopause, or if orgasm feels elusive, we are going to give you the tools to understand your body and be an accurate translator for your body to your partner. And for the partners who are sitting there feeling frustrated and lost because their partner is frustrated and lost, I've got you too, right? We're going to help you become that masterful lover who knows exactly how to create wonderful experiences regardless of what is happening for your partner. So keep an eye out for that. Mark the date on your calendar, book a sitter. As we build up to it, I'm going to be, doing some podcast episodes related to these kinds of pieces and some of the biggest myths and mistakes and traps that we fall into the play phase of that naked fun time cycle so that we can stop having lackluster sex that no one is excited about and start having sex worth craving. And I really want to position, even if sex is infrequent right now, if you occasionally have a partner who throws you a bone and says, oh, let's do it. If you sign up for this workshop, you can make the next time she does that or he does that a better experience for you both, whether they participate in this workshop or not. And if you do occasionally have intimacy, even if it's only once a month or every 2 months right now, let's focus on making that naked time the best it can possibly be, because that's one of the levers we can pull in our cycle to get back to consistent, playful, fun, and easy sex. Okay. Now, beyond Valentine's Day, here is what else we're going to be talking about this season. So we are going to be talking about the usual suspects, digging deep into scheduled sex, understanding your libido better. We're going to do a whole mini series for new parents, sex after delivery, whether you've birthed a baby or adopted a new infant, just kind of that early postpartum first year or two phase. I want to talk about when sex goes sideways. So in the summer, we're going to do a series on premature ejaculation and erectile dysfunction, performance anxiety, those kinds of things. Y'all loved the series on mental load, and so we're going to bring that back in the fall, a little bit earlier this year so you can implement strategies before the holiday chaos. And I also am putting something special together for my lower libido besties, the ones who are really struggling to motivate themselves to give a shit, who feel shut down and wonder why this even matters, or who feel even if you're listening along, you're listening for your partner because deep down you could care less if you have sex, right? If that's you, we are going to be doing a series on exploring where that block is coming from and your motivation for intimacy outside of your relationship. So my hope is to help you see that engaging in this work isn't just tossing your partner a bone. It is about you becoming the most alive, connected, and authentic version of yourself. This is some of the deepest work that I have done to transform not only my sex life and my relationship, but my own life. And I want to selfishly convince you of that too. Because if you want your relationship to stay together, I need you to care about your sex life, but also I need you to care about your sex life just for you. I need you to care about your sexuality just for you. So we're going to talk about how to make that happen. So that is I'm super pumped. I'm sure you can hear from my voice. If you've got other topics that you really want to make sure that I cover, other curiosities, send me a DM over at Intimacy After Kids. Let me know like what's brewing for you or where you want me to go deeper. And if you are down for the ride, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, get signed up for the newsletter, and do me a favor. Share this with 2 parents because I guarantee literally every parent you know is struggling silently with some aspect of the naked fun time cycle. So just let this be the silent, quiet little gift that gives. You just send the text and say, "We've been really enjoying this," and leave it up to them. Let us make 2026 the year that we enter the best era yet of our relationship. The year where we tackle life like a team, where we have compassion and understanding for each other, where we have an amazing sex life that feels light and fun and consistent. Let's make it the year it stops being the elephant in the room. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all so much. Hang in for the ride, and I will see you next episode.